DDO Players Gen Con 2018 convention coverage brought to you by the Easy Roller Dice Company. Check out EasyRollerDice.com for all of your dice needs. From metal dice to dice cups to dice trays, Easy Roller Dice has what you need. You can save 15% on your checkout if you use the coupon code DDO Players, all one word and all uppercase. And once again, a big thanks to Easy Roller Dice Company for sponsoring our Gen Con 2018 coverage.
Hey, it's DDO Players, and we are still at Gen Con 2018. We've made it to the final day, though. We're with Mr. David Reid from MetaArcade. How are you, sir?
Doing great. Good to see you again, Weldon.
Yeah, it's been a while since we talked. I didn't see you last year because, unfortunately, I didn't make Gen Con last year, but I know you guys were here. So
absolutely.
I know you've got the new Cthulhu Chronicles out.
That's right.
Which we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
But just in case anybody didn't see our previous interview, you want to give us a little snapshot of what MetaArcade is?
Absolutely. So MetaArcade was started in 2016. We're a team of 6 people based in Seattle now, with a vision of giving a creation platform for anybody to be able to make and publish their own adventure. The idea here started from my own desire of, I've been in games for a long time now, mostly as a marketing and publishing person, but wanted to get to the creative process again. And I'm not technical anymore. I have never been even the tiniest bit artistic, but like everybody else here at Gen Con, I've played a lot of role-playing games. I've written adventures and campaigns, and started to think of a place where I could take the adventures that I've been writing over the years and playing with my friends and turn them into something playable digitally, a digital sort of game book like the old fighting fantasy books or the Tunnels and Trolls adventures. You know, here we are in the Chaosium booth. They're alone against the fill-in-the-blank line of product. And so being able to just sit down, type in my narrative, have branching narrative going into map view, pull in art and audio from other places because I can't make that stuff, and having a rules engine under the hood that adjudicated combat and saving throws and things, and that's what we built. We built a prototype with that and showed it to you at 2016's Gen Con. It was all black and white. We had one adventure and that was it. Last year at Gen Con 2017, we officially launched Tunnels and Trolls Adventures. Most people know D&D was the first RPG ever published. They might not know Tunnels and Trolls was the second, and we started with Flying Buffalo and Tunnels and Trolls because we had this huge body of solo adventures we could go with and a mechanic that made a lot of sense to a bunch of fans. So we launched that here at Gen Con in 2017. We now have over 25 adventures on the App Store and Android, a free-to-play business model where you don't have to buy any loot boxes or anything. You can play stuff for free a certain number of times per day, and if you decide, hey, I don't want to just wait for free plays, I want to own an adventure, it's just a couple bucks. The more exciting thing about Tunnels and Trolls for me is it's been the place we've actually launched our creators program. And so now in addition to the 25 plus adventures we've made, our first 3 adventures from the community have come out on Tunnels and Trolls as well. So here we are at Gen Con 2018 with Cthulhu Chronicles that launched on iOS and the App Store just a couple weeks ago. And part of what we announced here at Gen Con was we are opening the creators program up for Cthulhu Chronicles as well. So now people can go to our site, MetaArcade.com, to our creators page /creators and apply, and you can get the ability to create Tunnels and Trolls and Cthulhu adventures for fun, and if they look good and we are able to publish them out and you're interested in that, you'll make money every time somebody plays those games.
Excellent. So let's talk a little bit. I just got to sit down and play the Cthulhu Chronicles, and I noticed there's a lot of differences between the Cthulhu Chronicles and the Tunnels and Trolls. So you want to kind of tell us a little bit about the differences between the two?
Absolutely. So Tunnels and Trolls was very much a clear, how would I put it, remastering of the tabletop game. And so if you played the game, you could see, like, when you're in combat or a saving throw, we're very specific of, hey, here's what you need to roll to make a saving roll. Here's what you need in combat. You won in combat. You did this much damage. Your opponent had this much armor blocking. You know, that was the right way to do Tunnels and Trolls. When we thought about Cthulhu and we started talking with the partners at Chaosium about Cthulhu, it became clear that at some level, it's important to resonate with the Call of Cthulhu fans, right? So we built rules and an engine and tech that is authentic to Call of Cthulhu, but at the same time there is this massive audience that I like to call the Cthulhu curious. You know, the people who might not be sitting down and playing the RPG, but who are reading fiction, who are watching films, who are buying toys and things, who would be interested in playing these adventures in a different way than simply the way that the RPG players are doing. And so that led to a couple of different things. The first you'll see, of course, is that we're in portrait mode, and Tunnels and Trolls has to be in landscape mode because we're rolling dice across across the screen, and the sound and the look of that is a big part of that game. For Cthulhu Chronicles, when we thought about that broader Cthulhu curious audience, we imagined people, you know, on a bus with a phone in one hand and holding onto a railing in the other and being able to play in one hand, and so that's why we went to portrait mode. The second thing that happens, and we'll go ahead and we'll start playing one of these adventures.
Sure, yeah, I'll zoom up here so you can kind of see it a little bit.
Yep, so you'll see here, Dead Border is an official Chaosium adventure for Call of Cthulhu, one of their quick start adventures, and the second thing is that for Cthulhu Chronicles now, we've got it so that there are pre-generated characters. So you don't actually roll a character, because we know a lot of the Cthulhu curious people aren't familiar with how to roll a character, and we wanted to give them a chance to jump right in. Those characters are, you'll see, you know, you've still got your health and your sanity, but you also have 3 other stats. Appearance, and appearance, coming back to Call of Cthulhu, if you think about combining charisma and appearance and willpower and things like that, that's a big part of what this stat is all about, how you interact with people. We've got athletics. Athletics is kind of that combination of strength and dexterity and things that, you know, are more important in physical combat and physical tasks. And last but not least is intelligence, which of course is important to solving the riddles, discovering the mysteries, figuring out what's really going on there. So in order to sort of stay true to Cthulhu and still appeal to that broad audience, we distilled those 10 stats down to 3. So that's the second big difference. And the third is we've got this new mechanic in the game called clues. You know, Cthulhu is all about investigation and mystery and figuring out what's going on here. As you progress through these adventures, you'll discover clues. Clues serve a couple different purposes. One, they are achievements, and in the same way that we have them in Tunnels and Trolls and other games do. You can sort of see how to collect them all, and we'll show that a bit here, where each character as you play through, you can see all the clues that you've earned in every adventure for the character, and also the ones that you haven't. And these clues give you abilities in the game where they unlock different narrative branches, they let you overcome casts and things that you might not be able to do without the clue. And even if you die or go insane in an adventure and have to start again, if you've earned a clue, you've got it. And so you don't have to go through that process again. So that's the clue process, and coming back to the game itself, what you see here, of course, is the same kind of moment-to-moment experience. You're reading narrative, you're looking at art, you're making choices and things. This investigation, Dead Border, takes place, it's adventure number 3 in the 9-adventure arc we've shipped so far, called Investigations in Lovecraft Country. And we stitched them together with the mode of, you're an investigator who, of course, has unknowingly stumbled into the horrors of the Cthulhu mythos.
Which happens a lot.
It happens a lot. And in the way we've done this is Dead Border is now adventure 3 in the arc, and because of your success in the previous 2 adventures, a very important personage, the Dean of Miskatonic University, has summoned you to help recover some stolen property. So that's how this story begins, and what you'll see here that's interesting is, because Cthulhu is set in 1920s America, there's this vast repository of art that we are able to use that's public domain and Library of Congress. So I don't know who this gentleman was in the 1920s, but today he's also the Dean of Miskatonic University. And you know, we've got that in addition to the art from Chaosium, some of the new art that we've created in commissions to fill out the adventures. But this has really just done a great job of sort of setting the tone and the atmosphere in these black and white and sepia tone photos.
Yeah, it definitely draws you in. I was going to ask you about where you got the photographs, but there you go. So they're just
and it's worked out well because it just fits the period piece. So what happens now in the adventure, and where'd the mouse go? There we are. So as we're going through this process here, the Dean is offering us a reward to take the case, but let's assume we're not happy with it and we want to make it a little better. And so now you'll see the last and maybe the most interesting difference between Cthulhu and Tunnels and Trolls. Again, in Tunnels and Trolls, we were very authentic to the rules. You're rolling those dice across the screen, you hear them clatter and that sort of thing. But for the Cthulhu curious audience, we wanted to come up with something a little more mainstream in how mobile gamers play. So what you'll see here is, you know, in order to get the Dean to give you a better offer in your negotiation, you get to decide which of your stats you want to base this on. And so, you know, you've got, at least with this character, our highest stat is our athleticism. And so that suggests our best chance of getting a good offer is to try and intimidate him. So that's what we're going to do. And here's your biggest difference now. This is what we call the Wheel of Cthulhu. And basically, even though in Call of Cthulhu you're largely rolling percentile dice to determine how things happen in combat or a skill check and things like that, we're taking the exact same mathematics, we're just putting them under the hood of this wheel here, where your percentile chance isn't being determined by rolling the dice. We're just doing that under the hood for you. But this gives you a good look at, hey, it's a medium difficulty skill, it's against athleticism, which is one of your better attributes. You have a good chance of making this, but like any die roll, you could roll a critical failure or a critical success.
And I like how you have like the red for when you're not going to make it and the blue for when you are going to make it, so you can see, all right, like you said, I have a good shot at this.
You have a good shot. So let's see how the fates respond.
We failed it.
Even though it was our best chance, we didn't roll well on this one. And you know, the results of this failed skill check, not a big deal, right? We still got the job, we're still working for the dean, no big deal. But sometimes a failed skill check is going to kill you, right? And in the
like
same
it did
way,
me before when I was playing.
It can be the end, right?
Yeah.
Similarly, you'll be in combat, and if you fail in combat, that'll be the end. And in any adventure, if your health or your sanity go to 0, you fail the adventure, you go to recover in the hospital, in the sanitarium, and you come back and try it again. But once again, any clues you've discovered, you've still kept with that character, and you don't have to repeat that stuff again.
So you want to talk a little bit about how the Creators Program works? I know you kind of mentioned it before. But
Absolutely. So the way it is, right, if you go and apply for the Creator Program at metaarcade.com/creators, you'll send us a little information on who you are and if you've got any background in writing or anything. And you know, that's not important if you do or not. The main thing is just to get to know the people we're working with. And with that, we give you the entitlement to download the Creator software off of Steam. Now, you can't find it on Steam unless we give you that entitlement. Think of the Adventure Creator as being in a closed beta where we're in dialogue with all the people that are doing this. Assuming you've got a computer that can handle it, we've got a PC build and a Mac build, you download the creation software via Steam, you've got it running, and now you're in the Creator and you can make these things. The Creator view is it's not something we were able to show you at Gen Con 2016, but we did show it publicly last year at 17.
Yeah.
Think of a WordPress style menu where you have the opportunity to type in your narrative in a particular frame, as we call these things, frames. You have the opportunity to pick a piece of art, pick some audio, and input the choices. You can put in different paths, you can add a combat, you can add a skill check, you can buff or debuff the character's stats if something's coming up. And as you go through that process, for which you don't need to have any technical skills, game design skills, or artistic skills, you just need to bring your story. Once you put one of those things together, you've followed all your paths to the end and you've come up with something. For those who are technically minded, the creation software is written in Unity and it exports a Lua file is what that is. And this is what our players read, is they read a Lua file. The technology player reads the Lua file and renders it out on the device. If we look at your Lua file and things are good, there's no hate speech or pornography or plagiarism, what have you, we'll publish it out for you. And every time your adventure generates revenue by somebody purchasing it, or maybe in Tunnels and Trolls watching an ad for it, you get a share of that revenue. It's very similar for people who are familiar with Drive-Thru RPG, for example, where they've done things with Chaosium here on Miskatonic Repository, or White Wolf with Storytellers Guild, with D&D on Dungeon Masters Guild. You create a product there in PDF form. You use the art, you use the logo that the licensor gives you, you put it up, you sell it as a PDF on Drive-Thru RPG, and every time somebody buys it, you get some money, Drive-Thru as the store gets some money, and the licensor who owns the game gets some money. It's exactly the same model we're doing here.
Okay, and so Cthulhu Chronicles is available now, correct?
Correct. On the App Store, so for your iPhone or your iPad. If you're an Android tablet or phone owner, don't despair. It is coming soon. We have it running. It's working. We just need to make sure it's going to work on the wide range of Android devices that are out there, and that will not be long.
And how many adventures are out for it right now?
For Cthulhu Chronicles, the first campaign, we have 9 adventures there, as we showed at the beginning. And this comprises Campaign 1, Adventures in Lovecraft Country. Part of what we announced at Gen Con when it opened was that our second campaign is going to be called Mythos Across America. Imagine, if you will, a Lovecraftian road trip with a little Hunter S. Thompson vibe added in there, going to strange corners of America and fighting back the Eldritch hordes. So Mythos Across America is in development and is going to come out as well. And in the end, what we're hoping is that in addition to remastering some of the bigger campaigns that Chaosium's built, things like Masks of Nyarlathotep Imhotep and Horror on the Orient Express, we're hopeful that the community is going to start creating stuff as well, and before long, much like we have with Tunnels and Trolls, there'll be dozens of adventures people can play from all sources on the devices that they already own, and somebody out there is going to become somebody in the community that is really getting somewhere with their adventures, in the same way that a Ninja on Twitch or a PewDiePie on YouTube, what have you. We hope that we have a platform that enables people to become celebrities in their own right, writing adventures.
And I know people on Tunnels and Trolls have done some good ones. I can only imagine what's going to come up with these Cthulhu adventures.
Well, it's exciting because Cthulhu is, Tunnels and Trolls is a fantasy game, right? And it's got a certain fantasy vibe to it. But Cthulhu, I mean, you look at what Chaosium's done. They've got Wild West Cthulhu. They've got modern Cthulhu.
Oh yeah, it's totally open.
Cthulhu.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And whatever your genre is of preference as a writer, you can make a Cthulhu story out of that. And with the tech that we put together, we think we can help you make something really cool.
All right, so that is Cthulhu Chronicles from MetaArcade. I will let you get back to your booth for the final couple hours of Gen Con.
Awesome.
Here.
We're going to wrap it up here. Thank you, Weldon, and thank you, DDO players.
Yep, thank you.